a doctor. Call my best friend. And I can never cure.
Present. Commissioner Banks.
Here.
And Commissioner Hunt.
Here. Great. Do we have approval of the agenda?
I will move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have the approval of the minutes for December. Did anyone have any corrections or comments to the minutes of December? You weren't here
I will
yet.
abstain, yep.
Looks good.
No comments from David or Jennifer on the minutes? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Roll call, we don't need a roll call. Aye. All in favor? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I think it's worth, I think Commissioner Bangs was saying he abstained. I'm not sure we heard that, but did you abstain?
I was not.
Yep. Just want to make sure that's noted.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is public comment for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone online?
Nope.
Okay, great. So I will now open the public hearing on a request for accessory dwelling code unit amendment, Resolution 2, Series of 2026. The purpose of the hearing is to receive evidence regarding the application materials and provide a public forum for all interested parties who wish to comment on this request before the Planning Commission. The procedure for the public hearing will be as follows. First, there will be a presentation and testimony by city staff, followed by questions from the Planning Commission to staff. Next, we will have a presentation and testimony by the applicant. In this case, there's not an applicant, followed by questions from the Planning Commission to the applicant. After these two presentations, members of the public who have joined this meeting in person, by computer or telephone may speak regarding the application. Anyone who would like to speak in person is asked to complete a speaker card, use the raise hand function if participating by computer, or *9 if calling in by telephone. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. 2 people present at the meeting may pool their minutes to allow one person to speak for up to a total of 6 minutes. The purpose of public comment is to receive public testimony and not a forum for debate or dialogue. Commenters are encouraged to raise pertinent issues and may ask questions for clarity. However, these questions will not be directly answered during the public comment period. The applicant and staff will then be allowed to make a closing statement. I will then close the public hearing and no further testimony or other evidence will be received unless the commission decides to reopen the hearing. The Planning Commission will discuss the matter and may approve with conditions, deny, table, or continue to a specific future meeting. Public hearings are recorded for the public record. All testimony must be presented after stating your full name and city of residence. Does anyone participating in this hearing object to the procedure I have described? No objections? Do we have proper notification?
Yes.
Thank you. Do any Planning Commission members have disclosures? Nobody's building an ADU tomorrow?
Nope.
All right. Staff presentation. Will staff please make its presentation?
We have a tech glitch. Okay. Okay. We're having trouble tonight with printers and the screens.
Not a good sign.
I guess I can do a presentation without the slides, but I want to make sure that okay, Commissioner Bangs and Commissioner Hunt are able to see. Okay. Okay, well, I'll just go off, basically off of the staff report here. So this is a request to amend the zoning code to address a state law compliance issue with our accessory dwelling unit ordinance. If you recall, last year around May, City Council approved the rules that allows ADUs citywide. Basically what happened was that in the flurry of amendments leading up to the City Council hearing, one of the key provisions that we needed to have in there was taken out sort of inadvertently. And so as part of a state evaluation, the state called our attention to the fact that there's one gap in our ordinance, which is basically that under a limited number of scenarios, we could potentially require an ADU to be less than, so basically we have to in our ordinance require a minimum 750 square foot ADU in all cases, except for if the main unit is less than 750 square feet. So in the scenario in our ordinance, basically where the issue is that we say that the ADU cannot be more than 75% of the size of the primary unit. And so if you apply that strictly and you have the primary unit as really small, so 1,000 square feet or less, you could actually mandate an ADU that's less than 750 square feet. That is in violation of the state law. So essentially what this ordinance does is correct that with a very targeted amendment that says that explicitly by right, one is allowed to have a 750 square foot ADU unless the primary unit is 750 square feet or less, and it can be smaller than that. So it's a very targeted, very specific amendment that is strictly to comply with the state law. And that's basically it as far as the proposal. It's pretty straightforward, but happy to answer any questions.
Questions of staff?
Thanks, Jeff. Just to be clear, I'm going to vote yes for this, but I also have a few questions and would like to push a little bit and see if we can move this a little bit more. So I'm curious, we approved the ordinance initially over the summer, is that right?
Yeah, May of last year.
May of last year. And do you know offhand, I'm looking at our, the permit website, how many permits have people applied for ADUs since we've adopted the code?
I don't have a precise number. My understanding it's about 5 right now. It's not a big number, yeah.
Yeah. And we also have, I guess, the direction I'm trying to go, just to be clear, is I understand kind of the zoning rationale for why we have maximum sizes and that they need to be incidental and subordinate to the primary unit. But I also just want to say, Louisville was the last community in Boulder County that allowed ADUs. We have a demonstrated housing shortage. ADUs are inherently more affordable, probably one of the most accessible ways that we can add housing stock to the city. And so I'm just wondering, do we need a maximum size? Can we add a lot more flexibility to this ordinance? So I just kind of want to throw that out there. Again, happy to vote yes on the ordinance as drafted to get us in compliance with state law, but if Planning Commission is interested, I would love to poke around here a little bit more.
So,
I ask staff a question, please?
Commissioner Banks, did you want to comment?
Yes. Can you hear me?
It's hard to hear you. Can you speak louder?
Oh, can we turn up the? Okay, can you hear me now? Is that better?
Not really.
I don't know if Ryan can hear us, if we could turn the volume up potentially on
yeah, I
Commissioner
think
Banks.
the issue's on our end. I think it's a system volume issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you test? Can you hear me now?
We're getting there. One second.
We're getting technical assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead and try something, Commissioner Banks.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, much
Much
better.
better.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks.
Ryan.
Thanks.
Okay. So, yes, I think I share some of the same concerns as Commissioner Ritchie in terms of, I think I poked at this pretty extensively when we first had the hearing. Essentially, if I understand the recommendation on the ordinance, someone who's chosen not to expand their 800 square foot Old Town home is restricted to, with this, well, let's say it's a 700 square foot Old Town home. They have to have an ADU smaller than their home. Their neighbor added 2,000 square feet can have a 1,000 square foot ADU. Is that essentially how I read this?
So it gets nuanced in that scenario. So if you have a 700 square foot existing house or 800 square feet, whatever it is, and you wanted to add an additional unit, the ADU and primary unit can flip. So whatever size is the greater size unit becomes the primary unit. This just explicitly says that 750 square feet is allowed in all cases, except for if the primary unit is less than 750 square feet.
Okay. So the maximum allowed is 1,000 square feet.
The maximum for an attached ADU is 1,000 square feet.
And a detached is 800 square feet.
Correct.
Okay. And if, okay, so anyone, regardless of current dwelling on a plot, can build up to 800 square feet.
Can build up to an 800 square feet detached ADU.
Is that true? I thought it was still a minimum of 750.
Before we
Yeah.
amend the ordinance.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the scenario is the existing house, so you can build an 800 square foot detached ADU in all cases. This is just basically addresses the scenario if the primary unit is less than 1,000 square feet. So if the primary unit is 800 square feet, you could build an 801 square feet additional unit, and that would become the primary unit, and the existing unit would become the ADU in that scenario, for example.
Unless you're in Old Town, which requires the ADU to be in the rear? Are there, no, I'm not remembering that right. Are there any locations where the ADU must be behind the principal structure?
Outside of Old Town, yes. Yeah. Yeah, right. So the purpose of the ordinance is certainly not to open up any new discussions about size limitations. The same size limitation, this would allow more size for an ADU essentially in the scenario where the primary unit is smaller than 1,000 square feet is really what it does.
Jonathan?
And reading the ordinance, it didn't sound, if I was understanding the state law correctly from the reference, it doesn't sound like there's much wiggle room. It sounds like as written, that is essentially required to become compliant. It doesn't sound like we are doing more than being just compliant. Is that true, or is there some wiggle room here?
So, I mean, this is strictly really just about compliance. Yeah, we're not opening up any of the sort of policy discussions or anything like that. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Hunt?
Commissioner Hunt has a question, but I might come back with another question. Thanks.
I did, I mean, I just want to, I think we're getting, this is a little confusing because of all the different numbers, but we're really just addressing the 75% thing that we had put in before. Am I right? That's really the reason why.
Yeah, and I get a little disorganized here without the slides being able to pull up, but essentially what this does is override that 75% cap. So where it says currently you can only be 75% of the size of the primary unit, this provision explicitly overrides that in the case of if the primary unit is smaller.
So I think that helps to sort of put it in context of what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're just really addressing that 75% that we had put in there before, which makes this, I think, less confusing. But and what I hear maybe Commissioner Ritchie saying is, do we want to talk about whether we want the 800 or 1,000 square foot limits at all? And it's probably worthy of discussion, but maybe not for this ordinance. I mean, this seems like a technical ordinance that we're, a technical fix you're trying to make right now, but that the larger policy discussion might require more looking into.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly had a very deep policy discussion with council over multiple meetings. This is almost a year now, but so we weren't planning to revisit that. We would have really to go back to council and confirm the direction, any sort of size change. I will reiterate too that we are updating our development code comprehensively as a reminder, starting here middle part of this year. And so this, basically all these types of things are on the table for that.
I'll just add, while I appreciate that, and if, again, if the rest of the commission, I think, isn't interested in kind of opening up this box, I'll certainly back down. But we've had 4 or 5, in the last 6 months. I don't think this is at risk of fundamentally changing the character of our city. I think we're probably realistically a year or 2, probably closer to 2 years away from adopting a new zoning code where we might revisit this again. So I would propose removing some of these limitations related to size. And if, again, happy to offer specific language if y'all would like to go there.
I'm certainly interested in hearing what you would propose, for sure, because, yeah, I share some similar concerns, I think.
Commissioner Ritchie, would you like to expand?
Yes, so I need to reread the language here. I would actually propose, I again, because I think we have limitations related to setbacks, we have limitations related to lot coverage, they still have to fill out the fixture count form for ADUs. Do you know if that remained in place?
The water tap fee has been waived for
Right.
ADUs, but at wastewater, they would still have to do the form, as I understand all the
Right, and
fees.
so I feel like we still have a lot of other parameters that are going to incentivize these being smaller. So I would propose even just removing the 75% language and just say accessory dwelling units shall not exceed the square footage of the principal single-family dwelling unit. And then even I would go so far as removing the maximum size for attached, and maybe keeping a detached accessory maximum size, but increasing that to 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet. So again, don't have a specific proposal, but I just think we should add flexibility here in order to, if someone wants to build it, we have a lot of other limitations.
So your logic being the lot coverage requirements will limit the amount of structures on a lot.
Yeah.
ADU exceeds the size of the current principal dwelling.
Exactly. We have, if a single unit can be that big on a lot, I don't know why we would care necessarily if it's one unit or two within that same bulk and mass that is allowed.
Well, I would motion that's the difference between a single-family lot and a multifamily. And so while I appreciate where you're coming from in regards to affordable housing, I'm not inclined to agree of removing the language for the same reasons we discussed at length. And I think it was it May? It was a while ago. And so, I remember a lengthy discussion there. So, I would not be in favor of, I'm in favor of the ordinance as written, but I would not be in favor of removing the limits for the purpose of the zoning discussion that we had, which sounds like we're going to be revisiting anyway. So for now, I would say yes to the current language, but I would not be in favor of removing the limits.
Do we have any other comments? Commissioner Hunt, anything from you?
And I think I'm kind of wondering, asking this, Jeff, are we getting a lot of pushback from citizens wanting to build larger ADUs?
I haven't heard any. There's only a handful that have been built, I think in the less than 5 range. So we don't have a good sort of data set there, but I've personally not heard any issues with the size limitations, and they are generally aligned with surrounding communities. Not that that makes it right, but it was a really deep discussion with council in terms of what's the tipping point, to your point, of this becoming a duplex zone district versus an ADU provision. So, and I will say further, we go further than the state law in a lot of cases. For example, we allow them with attached dwelling units, which is a pretty aggressive move. So with a townhome, you can have an attached ADU, for example, under this ordinance. So we have a pretty liberal ADU ordinance, but the size limitations, that definitely was like a very deep kind of focused discussion. So it would be reopening that into the sort of duplex territory argument, but happy to relay this, or however Planning Commission wants to do this, relay this to council if you'd like.
To go full circle, it sounds like we will have an opportunity to revisit this when zoning reviews come up in the not too distant future, correct?
Correct, yeah, it'll be several months, if not maybe a year, but that will be on the table as a discussion point.
Okay. Yeah, I understand Commissioner Mahaley's concerns about, kind of duplex-like lots occurring if we don't have a limitation of this nature, but I'm conflicted because it does seem constrictive to some lots with some principal dwelling sizes of today. But yeah, I'm generally in support of the ordinance recommendation, given the extensive debate we had before and the comments today.
And to be clear, this would make it less restrictive. We're just complying with state law strictly, but there's a whole other host of things that we didn't propose doing because it's so fresh.
Well, Jeff, I think it would be good if you can convey to council to set the stage for future discussion on this, that there was suggestion and discussion of modifying the ordinance to make it, to allow for larger size units. So if you would try not to lose that, that would be great.
Of course.
Oh, yes. So I'm going to see if there's any public comment at this point. Thank you, Jeff. Mr. Johnson, were you here to talk on ADU? Okay, would you please come to the podium? I will now open the public comment portion of the public hearing. Can I have a motion to add written public comments or other tangible evidence to the record? And please limit yourself to 3 minutes. Clearly state your full name and city of residence.
Okay, my name's Andy Johnson. I'm a Louisville resident, also a business owner, also a local architect with a very keen interest in the ADU ordinance. This is a no-brainer to pass what staff is bringing before you or to pass it on as a recommendation to council. It's less restrictive. It complies with the state. You have to do it. We have 4, if there are 5 permits, we have 4 of those ADUs, 3 under construction of various states. One of them is complete. We have completed dozens of these types of structures over the time that I've been working here in the last 26 years. Not all of them have been ADUs, of course. Some of them are guest houses under the current or the previous versions of our municipal code. Your confusion is exactly what I watch with my clients when I have to explain the mess of heavily amended codes. It is super frustrating to be able to, or to not be able to do like a really straightforward presentation on an ADU. You guys, this is low-hanging fruit. These are ADUs. What we're complying with in the state, like what just took that long a time, this is just complying with the state for a super niche-y circumstance in Old Town. I have been in Louisville a very long time, long enough to know that we tend to overthink a lot of things. And we spend a lot of time very intelligently arguing for things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. We have such bigger fish to fry. This is not one of them. I said this to a council member one time. We have the best ADU ordinance in the state. Put anything else up against it, and our ADU ordinance is so good. And I'm super proud of staff's effort. I'm really proud of public involvement with making it great. Let's keep it that way. Let's keep it less restrictive. Let's make it even better. Let's not worry about niche circumstances in Old Town. Let's allow ADUs to provide housing for circumstances that don't get the opportunity within, restrictive small lots, whatever. Who cares if the ADU's up front or in the back? Like, literally ask yourself, who cares? Really, I'm realizing I'm running out of 3 minutes. May I ask for more time? Steve Brown Eyes, Chair Brown Eyes offered that the last time.
I think that would be possible this evening.
Okay, thank you. I'm assuming maybe I'm the only one, and this is your only agenda item. So, and thank you for resetting that. This is an opportunity for us to create a housing type that is dearly needed. It is an incremental growth. This isn't a one and done big development, right? We get to talk about those, and those require a lot of time to figure out if they're a good fit. Size limitations on ADUs, fine. The state bill did a great job of outlining that, and I think it's a really good ordinance. For us to nitpick, literally nitpick, with all due respect, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but if we nitpick this with size limitations, we are just wasting our time. Duplex development is fundamentally different. You will almost always have on a single family lot, for example, like where an ADU would go, you will almost always have some kind of fee simple scenario, right? Right down the middle, you split it, and you have that kind of ownership. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about what duplex zoning use, like a by right duplex opportunity would be for single family homes. But that is not the ADU discussion. These are ADUs. And don't forget, these are not all rentals. These are not all used the same way during their lifetime. Duplexes are attached single-family homes. These are ADUs. These are offices. These are temporary homes for an aging parent, a kid coming home, extra space. These have dynamic uses. I do not want you guys to lose sight of the importance of an ADU as a fundamentally distinct, different building type and use than a duplex. I don't care if it looks like a duplex. I don't care if it's in front or in the back. It doesn't matter. It's an ADU. So I will have the same thing to say at council, but seriously, folks, we have way bigger fish to fry. Let it go. You're going to pass this tonight because you have to, but let's not burn any more of our time or political collateral, wasting time on an incredibly strong and good ordinance that's going to bring good opportunities to Louisville if our general public can really latch on and take advantage of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Does staff have a response or a closing statement?
No, nothing to add other than reiterate, we do plan to revisit this more holistically, the code update.
Okay. I will now close the public hearing, and the Planning Commission will deliberate on the evidence presented. During deliberations, no further public comment or other testimony or evidence will be received. Who would like to begin?
All right, I'm going to make one last pitch. So I would propose that we leave the 75% distinction in an effort to differentiate the kind of primary and single, or the principal and accessory, but we remove the overall maximum caps, recognizing we have all these other limitations in place, and acknowledging that in a year, when we rewrite the development code, if all of a sudden we are not happy with the type of applications we get in that year, we have the opportunity to revisit. So I'm going to flip that revisit for another reason. I'm going to just throw that out. Then my last pitch.
Commissioner Mahaley?
Sure. I mean, I'm still where I am. I fundamentally disagree that it's nitpicking to talk about size limitations. I agree that there are certain issues that certain people don't care about, front or back, but this is, we'd be opening up a loophole around single-family zoning, which is worth discussing. I agree that we need to pass it as written. We need to be in compliance. So I would be in support of that, but I would not be in support of removing language for maximum at this time, based on the in-depth discussion we had at length with the I think we had full attendance in May at the time, and then the subsequent discussion with council thereafter.
Commissioner Hunt or Bang, would you like to weigh in now?
Sure, happy to. I'm sorry about my voice. And you're probably all glad I'm not there.
Thank you.
I tend to agree with Commissioner Mahaley on this, although I think I'm not opposed to the idea of revisiting this. I think that it might be better done in a more holistic review of our zoning, and I don't see a big rush to get rid of these right now, and I think very happy with this amendment. I think it makes a lot of sense to comply with state law. It makes sense as a practical matter as well. And I'm also heartened to hear that there's people out there that think that the ordinance as it stands now is good. And so I'd be in favor of the ordinance as they've written it, and making sure, though, to not lose sight of this idea of getting rid of the limits altogether so we can have a more holistic conversation there.
Thank you. Commissioner Bang?
Yes, appreciate Mr. Johnson's forthright commentary, helpful. I'm going to be in support of the ordinance as written and recommended by staff, but probably not the last we will hear of this topic. So not to kick the can down the road, and yes, we do have bigger fish to fry, but I think that the overall size is still going to be, or the caps is going to be something that will come up in the future. But as written, I'll support it.
Thank you. Well, it's time for a motion. Who would like to make that motion?
Sure. Motion to approve Resolution 2, Series 2026, recommending that City Council approve an ordinance amending Title 17 of the Louisville Municipal Code.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, or Commissioner Banks.
Yep. So,
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Mahaley,
Yes.
Commissioner Bangs,
yes.
Commissioner Hunt,
Yes.
Commissioner Basket,
Yes.
and Commissioner Ritchie.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Before opening the public hearing on the second item on the agenda regarding inclusionary zoning, staff has requested that the commission table the inclusionary housing ordinance update indefinitely. Because the item will not be considered this evening, the public hearing will not be open. Is there a motion?
Move to table this item.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. That concludes the business of the meeting, other than our planning commission comments. Are there any planning commission comments? Not seeing any. Are there any staff comments?
Just a reminder of your special overflow meeting on February 26th regarding the comprehensive plan consideration of adoption.
Great. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wildlife Refuge.